Hello and welcome back to the Movie Bar Podcast, the average movie podcast for average movie fans by average movie fans. The bar is now open. Welcome to episode 70. I am your host, John.
I'm Justin.
And Kyle is still MIA.
Kyle,
Even though
where are you?
Kyle.
Yeah, some crickets in post.
Yeah. I might be able to do that. Okay, let's try. Kyle? Okay, no Kyle. How you doing this week, Justin?
Yeah, I'm doing.
Well, you ready to talk some movies?
I suppose we can do that.
Well,
it's not really why we're here, but I suppose we can do that.
Yeah. Just here to shoot the shit, I guess. All right. Well, first off, as we discussed last week, AEW held their first ever Texas Chainsaw Massacre Deathmatch Championship match on the August 16th edition of Dynamite. You watched the match. I watched the match. What did you think?
Well, currently I think I hate you for having me watch that crap.
Yes.
That was wrestle crap, is what that was.
I don't think
exactly what I said it was gonna be.
Yeah.
It was pandering. I mean, the fact that Jeff Hardy had no reason known to us to skip going to the ring and walk out some other random corner of ringside to go look around in this area, and then magically a ref and Jeff Jarrett appear. I mean, it only went downhill from there.
Yeah. It's not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like a cinematic match in like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre style house.
No, I was pretty sure they weren't going to do that.
But the only real references to Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the fake wall that they put up that had the weapons on it, and then the fake blood and
the terrible
Leatherface.
Leatherface.
I will say the belt looked cool if you're a Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan, but otherwise, that was a complete letdown.
Wrestle crap at its finest.
Yeah. Highly let down by it. Had the potential to be so much more. I mean, even when WWE did that thing during the pandemic with the zombie, there was a zombie movie or something, I think starring Batista. Yeah, and they had the zombie lumberjack match. Like, at least they put some effort in.
Yeah.
Granted, they all dressed like they belonged in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It wasn't what I was expecting, so yeah, we'll give that a big 0 mugs. Yeah. All right.
Now on to some more palatable news. Saw X's runtime has officially been released, and we're looking at the longest movie in the Saw franchise. It's going to be 1 hour and 58 minutes, a full 11 minutes longer than the next longest Saw.
Well, do you know what the next longest Saw was?
I think it was the first one.
Really?
Might have been.
So the reason I put this on there, of course, there's a method to my madness. It's Saw X.
No, it's not the first one. It's the third one.
The third one? Okay. So there's always a method to my madness. It's Saw X. And B, do you think a horror movie needs to be 2 hours long?
Some of them do.
It's only if it's good.
Some of them need it.
Yes.
You can't know until you see it.
So, but yeah, I mean, I'm still going to see it regardless, so I don't care if it was 3 hours, 1 hour and 30, whatever. So, yeah, something to look forward to. All right, so you just sent me a trailer. Freelance, starring your boy John Cena. Since you
called him my boy.
You picked Hidden Strike. You picked
Vacation. I only picked that because it looked like it could have been crappy. I picked Vacation Friends 2 because I saw Vacation Friends 1 and it was funny. Like, that doesn't make me
And now you're
his
sending me a
boy.
trailer with John Cena, so
It's movie news there. Slap nuts.
okay, Jeff Jarrett. So yeah, John Cena plays a retired
Military vet.
Okay, yep, and he comes out of retirement. It stars him, Allison Brie. Looks entertaining, lots of action, which
Yeah,
seems
looks
to be
fun.
his forte these days. So
Looks like it'll be better than Hidden Strike.
yeah, I'll give it that. Yeah.
Mile.
I believe it comes out October 6th, exclusively in theaters.
Good.
So yeah, freelance. I'll try to remember to post it on our social media because I tend to forget that stuff. But I did see something on X today. Well, Twitter, X, whatever it's called.
Just call it Twitter. It is Twitter. Do not give me that stupid X crap. It's Twitter. That's what it is.
It's not
That's what
even
it always
called a
was.
retweet anymore. Now it's reposting.
It's tweeting and twittering because he's gonna get that shit shut down soon anyway.
Okay.
It's gonna be gone.
So the question that was posed was horror movie killers Mount Rushmore. Usually, the big discussion is your Mount Rushmore of wrestlers, baseball players, hockey players, whatever. If you could pick 4 killers to be on your horror killers Mount Rushmore, what 4 would you pick?
I don't know because I've been put on the spot. Should prep me for this one.
That's why I put you on the spot.
Well, you can pick yours first, and I'll think about it.
Well, definitely you got to have Jason on there. I'd go Jason, Freddy, Chucky, Victor Crowley.
That's interesting. I mean, I just have to go with the ones that entertain me the most, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's your Mount Rushmore. It's who you.
So, I got to go with Jigsaw.
Okay.
Because just that, I love those movies. I gotta go with Freddy.
Okay.
Just because he is Freddy.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta go with Michael Myers.
Okay.
He's kind of the one who started it all. The whole slow slasher.
Yep.
Fourth one, I don't know. Fourth one's hard.
Yeah. I mean, could be any of it. Could be Leprechaun. Could be.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking.
Leatherface.
You know, I think what I might have to do is go with something classic like Dracula.
Okay.
I mean, he's kind of withstood the test of time. There's many different iterations of him. They all vary so much.
Yeah.
And, he's coming from a place of myth and truth, so I think I'd have to go there.
Okay. So it was
unconventional.
It was Dracula, Jigsaw, Michael, and Freddy.
Yeah. So I always like Freddy more than Jason, just because he was funnier and a little bit more creative in the kills. And I think that Michael is a better version of Jason.
Yeah. See, I like the Friday the 13th movie, so I'm going to lean more towards Jason than I would Michael, but that's why it's to each our own. So, yeah. So tell us on social media what your Mount Rushmore of horror killers is. Maybe I'll post a question on Twitter/X or Instagram or TikTok.
Or
I like
Threads.
what's Threads. No, I'm not getting no.
That's the new
I'm,
Twitter. Well, you're going to have to soon because that's going to be what Twitter is. Because Twitter's going to get shut down if he blocking people because they won't allow it on app stores.
oh, okay. So I guess we'll be setting up a Threads account next week. Great, another fucking thing to keep track of. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right, what did you watch this week?
Well, I texted you about one of them, and
Trucks?
it was Trucks, which is from 1997. It is a remake of Maximum Overdrive. Well, it's not a remake of Maximum Overdrive. It's another. It's based on the Stephen King short story Trucks. Maximum Overdrive was a little bit more loosely based on the same story, but this one was fairly god awful.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, considering it came out in '97 and we never heard of it, I mean,
yeah, I mean, like the characters are pretty good. They all fit. It wasn't too crazy there. It had Timothy Busfield and I can't remember her name, but the girl from Hot Shots Part 2. Yeah. And they were good, but the trucks and like they're honking to communicate and it was just pretty bad. And in the end, they wind up getting on a helicopter with no pilot. So I don't, that just doesn't seem like a good idea to me. But who am I? So yeah, that was fairly bad. I did watch Grumpy Old Men. Oh boy, and yeah, that was it. I watched pretty much TV shows other than that. I couldn't find any movies worth my interest until I found that Trucks.
and you instantly regretted that.
No, it was worth a watch, but
Yeah.
I mean, it honestly made Maximum Overdrive look like an Oscar winner in comparison.
I've been thinking about revisiting Maximum Overdrive. I know we just covered it a few months ago, but I wanted to watch it.
It lacks the greatest scene in that movie in that it does not have a vending machine that shoots coke, and it's actually only the trucks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh. So it's like not the minivan,
just
but one pickup truck, and the rest of them are all big trucks.
Big rigs. Okay. I might check it out. So I watched 2 shorts on Hulu. One was called Swipe to Death. These 2 people swipe.
Is that based on you in your free time?
No,
I haven't. Work time, and in your not downtime, and while someone's talking to you, and while you're watching a movie.
No. I haven't killed anybody yet.
No, but you might die from swiping so much.
I haven't really swiped much lately. I'm kind of over it. I never thought it. I'm over it.
I just remember you back in the day. That's all.
You did the same thing, so shut up. So Swipe to Death, and then there was another one called The Hug, which is kind of like a Chuck E. Cheese inspired one. They were only like 5 to 7 minutes long. Then I hit a wall, and I couldn't decide what to watch. So I asked a friend of mine, Christine, what to watch. I gave her 5 options, and she chose Grumpier Old Men.
That's the reason why I wound up watching Trucks and mostly TV shows, because I hit a wall, and I was like, there's nothing there.
Yeah, and I thought it was funny because she didn't know we were covering Grumpy Old Men this week. and that's kind of why I threw it in as an option. But so I watched Grumpier Old Men, and then I watched Dodgeball, a true underdog story, because I listened to the commentary from Yorkie Thon a couple years ago with Joel David Moore and the I forget the other guy that was on it, but then I was like, damn, I haven't watched that in a long time, so I wanted to watch that. Then I
Watch
watched
that like once a month.
really?
It's
Yeah,
always on.
the bald headed black guy in it. He was the other one on the commentary. Then I watched Chillerama, and then the next day I was telling the guys at work about Chillerama, and we watched Wadzilla segment from Chillerama, and that was more than enough for them. Then I watched Back to the Future because it was on TV the other day, and me and Hunter watched Summer School, another movie bar episode from the beginning of the summer, I believe. And
That
then,
was also on TV the other day.
yeah, oh, well, we watched it. It was on sale on Vudu, so I bought it. But then I watched Grumpy Old Men. So let's get into our picks of the week. I'll start us off. Well, actually, no, Justin, you start us off.
Fine, I will, even though you already let slip what yours was anyway. So I picked Cabin in the Woods. When 5 college friends, Kristen Connolly, Chris Hemsworth, Anna Hutchinson, Fran Kranz, Jesse Williams, arrive at a remote forest cabin for a little vacation, little do they expect the horrors that await them. One by one, the youths fall victim to backwoods zombies. But there is another factor at play. 2 scientists, played by Richard Jenkins and Bradley Whitford, are manipulating the ghoulish goings-on. But even as the body count rises, there is yet more at work than meets the eye. This was released April 13th, 2012, directed by Drew Goddard. This is just a fun movie.
It is.
Just the twists in it and the way it plays out, and it was a good time. I remember seeing this in theaters. It was great.
My first time watching it was with you.
Yes. Well, that would be the whole in the theaters.
No, we didn't see that in theaters.
You sure?
Yeah, we watched that down in the basement.
I thought I saw that in theaters.
You might have seen it, did it? Yeah, I didn't. But yeah, that's a good movie. I've been actually kind of been wanting to watch that lately, but for some reason I never go to it.
That'll happen. I have a few like that.
So, oh, maybe it's something we should cover in the next couple of weeks. So, my pick of the week is Grumpier Old Men. It only seemed fitting, judging by today's episode.
I kind of figured you would, to be honest with you.
Yeah. You want to take a guess what my pick is next week? Grumpier Old Men, elderly, angling, and contentious friends Max, played by Walter Matthau, and John, played by Jack Lemmon, backburner their bickering when their kids, Kevin Pollak, Daryl Hannah, get engaged. But fishing season opens, a can of romantic worms as newcomer Maria plans to turn the beloved bait shop into a restaurant. Botched matchmaking leads to some major romantic mix-ups until an unexpected death in the family helps everyone realize the most important thing in life is love. Originally released on December 22nd, 1995, it was directed by Howard Deutsch. You know, goes hand in hand with our pick this week. You know, I love Meredith Burgess in it. He's funny.
He's great in everything.
Yeah. And you just can't go wrong with Walter Matthau or Jack Lemmon. I believe their 5th movie together.
Probably.
Odd Couple 2, Out to Sea, Grumpier Old Men, and probably a lot more before we were even born.
Yeah, they did a lot. I think they did TV shows together.
Yeah. You know, they're kind of like a what would be a modern day rock and what's his Kevin Hart. You know, comedy duos that work well together. But you know, it's funny. You know, when you add in Ann-Margret and Sophia
Loren.
Loren, and even the lady that plays her mother, who hooks up with Meredith Burgess. Like, uh, yeah. So check out Grumpy Old Men. But now it's time for our main topic.
Grumpy old men.
I just want to start off by saying I imagine this was going to be us in like 40 years, living next door to each other, fighting.
Probably a good thing we don't live next door to each other.
Yeah.
Dear God.
Yeah. So we'll read the synopsis. John Gustafson and Max Goldman are two curmudgeonly neighbors who have been at each other's throats for years. The rivalry of former friends intensifies when Ariel comes along and provides a love interest for both of them. When Mac finds out that John is experiencing family troubles and financial ruin, however, he steps in to help. Their bond is further cemented when John has a health scare and Max makes the ultimate sacrifice for his friend. Originally released on Christmas Day, December 25th, 1993, directed by Donald Petrie, distributed by Warner Brothers, had a box office of $80.5 million, and music by Alan Silvestri. It has a rating of PG-13 and has a runtime of 1 hour and 43 minutes, and it is currently streaming on... I forgot to look it up, my bad.
It's Max. But I could be wrong.
Yep, probably right. I know it's on... I think it's on... No, it is not available on any streaming services, but it is available for purchase on Google, YouTube, Apple, Amazon, Vudu, Microsoft,
Wherever you buy
and
your movies.
AMC Theaters on demand. Currently $14.99 or $9.99 on Google Play and YouTube. Yeah. How about that cast?
Our cast of characters, we have Jack Lemmon as John Gustafson Jr., Walter Matthau as Max Goldman, Ann-Margret as Ariel Truax, Burgess Meredith as John Gustafson Sr., Daryl Hannah as Melanie Gustafson, Kevin Pollak as Jacob Goldman, Ozzie Davis as Chuck, the bait shop owner, Buck Henry as Elliot Snyder, the IRS agent, Christopher McDonald as Mike, Steve Cochran as Weatherman, and Joe Howard as Phil the pharmacist.
All right. So the movie starts off. You're seeing John Gustafson, who is a former high school history teacher, and there's a guy banging on his door. Mr. Gustafson! Mr. Gustafson! And to escape the guy, he goes out the window on the second floor, down into the backyard, comes around, and here's where we meet Max Goldman, played by Walter Matthau. You really don't know much about these two at this time until, you know, they see each other and kind of insult each other to begin with. And what would be the IRS guy, Elliot Snyder, have you seen Mr. Gustafson? And Walter Matthau is kind of like, oh, well,
no, I haven't seen him. No.
You know, if he could be off his meds and could be anywhere. Who knows?
Is that the strip club? The one with the men dancing,
taking their clothes off. So that kind of gives you your first look at their relationship, because you know that's John next to him and who's like looking at him that he's afraid he's going to rat him out.
Yeah.
But clearly they don't. He doesn't, and the IRS agent leaves, giving his card to Mr. Gustafson without realizing that it's Mr. Gustafson.
Mm-hmm.
So we learn that they are childhood friends, longtime rivals, and next door neighbors in Wabasha, Minnesota. Um, their rivalry began decades earlier when John married Max's high school sweetheart May. John and May had 2 children, his daughter Melanie and son Brian, who was killed in Vietnam. But May's infidelity led to divorce after 20 years. And John keeps telling Max he was not happy with May, but Max always felt he would have been happy with May. But he ended up marrying Amy, and they had the son Jacob. And so upon meeting John and Max, what were your first impressions?
I mean, they're just hilarious together. The way they play off each other.
Yes.
I mean, when I first saw this, it would have been back in 95, 96.
Yep.
Obviously, 90. No, this was 93, so 94. So, I mean, I didn't know anything about these two actors who were, I just,
Yeah.
hey, that looks like a funny movie. I'm going to go watch this. But I mean, even then, like, I could tell, like, they knew each other. They really played off each other so well, and you just get immediately thrown right into it like that during that scene, and that is just wonderful. But I love this movie. This is another one where anytime I probably watch this one once a month.
Yeah.
It's on a lot.
Yeah. I can't exactly pinpoint the first time I saw it, but I'm guessing it would also be around that time frame, 93, 94, 95, 94, 95 on TV. But just the way that they can bounce off each other with the insults and the timing, it's like impeccable. So then we learned they like to go ice fishing. So Max has what he calls the Green Hornet, which is a mallard fishing pole, wooden fishing pole shaped like a mallard. They go out to the little community on the lake in Wabasha, and we meet John's dad, John Gustafson Sr., played by Meredith Burgess, who's about to, did you pounder? Like, beer drinking, smoking, bigger
Rough
child.
old man.
More childish than his kids. So they're each in their fishing holes, and they're totally different. Max is watching a snowy TV of hockey, while John is playing classical music on a record player and sitting back and relaxing. So now we're learning that both men lead a very boring life, and the most excitement they get is out of torturing each other, whether it be throwing a fish in the back of Max's truck, because he's never going to figure that out.
It's not about figuring it out. That's about timing. That's about letting it sit in there and see how many days you can get away with it.
Well, you can tell right away that it's going to be in there for a while with all the trash that's on the floor in the back of his car. So now we meet the kids. Jacob has shown up to Max's house to give him the signs.
He's running for office.
Yep, running for mayor of Wabasha. We've also met this new neighbor who moved into the Glickman place, who would later be Ariel, played by Ann-Margret, who is...
I haven't met her yet, but her character is arrived in the neighborhood. Yes. Caused a stir with all the stuff she's bringing in from the truck and her antics.
So when Jacob arrives, Max is offering a dinner, a TV dinner,
Mm-hmm.
But he's got to do something first. He's got to fuck with John.
Oh, yeah.
Where he goes over to the window behind John, where John's watching TV, watching the lottery numbers, and proceeds to keep changing the channel every time they announce a new ball. Did that not bring you back to your childhood, some of those commercials?
Oh, yeah, buddy.
Pizza, pizza. You know. I think that was Chicken Tonight when the family's dancing around the table.
I feel like chicken tonight. Like chicken
And
tonight.
the big guy when he's dancing.
Mm-hmm.
So John quickly realizes that Max is up to no good, so payback ensues. Jacob tells his dad to come over and apologize, and Max, I'm not apologizing to anybody. And as soon as he says that, John sprays him with a hose.
Sweet, sweet revenge.
Yes.
Whole lot worse.
Yeah.
Whole lot worse than what was done to him. But, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. So we also learned that John's daughter, Melanie, is going through a separation, and John is kind of excited for this. Apparently, he doesn't like his son-in-law,
Mm-hmm.
played by Shooter McGavin.
Mm-hmm.
So next thing you know, Max loses his Green Hornet.
Just pulled down into the hole.
Like, he sat there and said, don't move. Don't you move. It moved, it fell in the hole.
We've all been there.
I've never been ice fishing. I have not been there.
No, I just mean, you put something down and it looks like it's going to
Yeah.
roll and you got to turn your back and you're like, stay there. Don't
Yeah.
you move while I turn around. Yeah. We've all been there.
Apparently that's his prized possession. Let's talk about the snow prank on the roof. When John tries to get Max with the wetting the snow, so when he slams the door, it all comes crashing down.
Gotta use hot water.
Yeah.
Warm water.
You'll never get me putz. I had not heard that word in years until watching this movie again.
Yes, buddy.
So, excuse me. So now, John's in bed. It's Thanksgiving. No. John meets Ariel when she comes over. You can help me out here in the timeline.
Well, you've lost me on the way you wrote this.
So what I put was just a basic outline.
Yeah,
it's not the actual.
It seems to jump around.
Yeah,
that's not okay. It's been a week since I watched this.
Oh. So now Ariel shows up at John's door. It's 1:30 in the morning. She was out snowmobiling the night before, which
she's been seen running from her sauna, jumping in the snow, crazy like.
Yep. And
so they
John
don't really know what to make of her.
But they're both infatuated with her.
Well, wouldn't you be?
If I was 70 years old and looking at a 60-year-old, yeah, probably. So she comes over to ask to use John's bathroom.
But she was returning mail.
But originally she asked to use the bathroom first, then returns mail, which is a federal offense, according to John, which is true. But, so what are your impressions of Ariel and the boy's infatuation with her?
I mean, she's a bit much. Because, she's clearly a free spirit, and she's out there, she's got the snowmobile, and she does the sauna thing, and then she just shows up at 1:30 in the morning. But like, and then she like admits to basically, taking the mail from his mailbox to try and learn about him and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And that's a bit much for me. That's a little okay, lady. You need to get in your
Little,
lane for me.
yeah, a little stalkerish. Um, so now Thanksgiving has kind of rolled around, and they invited the bait shop guy to come have Thanksgiving with each of them. He declines, said he's going to the VFW,
Elite bald old man.
but he really goes to Ariel's house.
Yeah, they catch him going through the front door, and there's Grandpa. He's taking all one eye to the optometrist.
So,
Matt, remember now, when the movie ends, you have to watch the bloopers
yes,
to get all of Burgess Meredith's one-liners and bloopers for the movie. It's well worth the wait.
yes.
Practice with those.
So now, the very next morning, they are both arriving at Chuck's bait shop.
Barreling down to get there first to see
The
what's
same
going
exact
on.
time. And just to get information, but Chuck is not a man to kiss and tell.
Nope. But he lays it out, basically daring them just to, to say something or do something or, don't be so damn scared and living in your little fishing shanty.
Yeah, go out, enjoy life. That's kind of like what Ann-Margret's character, that's what she's about, like seizing the day.
Go and do it. You want to do it? Do it.
So both the boys are getting ready for their evening
plan to try and go woo the woman.
Yeah.
Woo the girl.
A nice classic shot of Walter Matthau in the bathtub.
Mm-hmm.
But who ends up winning?
It's your Max.
Yes.
It's there first.
So John, who's upset, the next day, time has passed. Ariel go. Yeah. So him and Max are gonna fight. That was a funny scene walking down the fence.
Well, that's when Chuck died.
Yeah, Chuck does die, and John says, "Well, if you weren't out with that heartlet or whatever along those lines," claiming that it was Max's fault that he died because he was with, I'm fucking drawing a blank on her name, Ariel, and he's like, "It's not my fault," So they get to the end of the fence, and John decides it's not worth it and walks away.
And
he goes inside. Now, John's dad has found the Green Hornet. The only thing I caught all day. So, what?
Okay, yeah, you're right.
So, John has it on his counter to give back to Max, but because Max had gone out with Ariel and he's upset about Chuck, he breaks it in half. And just there's a knock on the door and he thinks it's Max and he comes out with a baseball bat and
it's the old IRS man.
Yep.
Caught.
So John goes with the IRS guy, comes home, and
late at night, dark,
and somebody's in his kitchen, cooking dinner. Who is it? But Ariel. So now she's broken into his house. She's stolen his mail,
Mm-hmm.
inspected his bathroom,
Mm-hmm.
broke into his house,
Ate his food, cooked his food.
cooked his food, and he says that, he can't have anything spicy because it'll keep him up.
She gives him the old, maybe that's a good thing.
Or maybe that's what she wants, is to keep him up all night. So is this the scene when they go to have sex?
No, that's later on.
Okay, so
You
they
can
spend
keep it respectful.
they spend the day together. They go snowmobiling. They make snow angels. Max is at her house looking for her, but she's out with John.
Mm-hmm.
And he sees the IRS guy is over at John's house again. So that's kind of, what you're seeing, something's going on a lot more. But so now they're kind of like looking out over the town, and he finally just says, fuck it, and cuts loose John, makes snow angels with Ariel. And that night, Ariel brings him. They go home. They talk about having
Nice talk.
safe sex.
Yeah,
Safe
nice
sex.
talk. She mentions that it's time to go to bed, and he thinks he said something wrong. She locks the door, and she said, "I didn't say I was going home."
Yeah.
Wow, chicka, bow, wow.
Yeah.
That's got him awfully worried because,
He hasn't had sex since 1978.
yeah,
And he doesn't have condoms. And she goes, I think you're safe.
mm-hmm. I would say so.
So next day, Max is looking for Ariel again as she comes walking out of John's house. And so he goes to the fishing hole. Because now he's depressed. Now they've flipped roles. John's happy. Max is upset.
Sitting in there drinking the beers. He's got quite the collection of empties crushed up.
Yep.
And he gets a knock on the door.
Yeah, it's his fishing rod.
Green Hornet.
Green
Patched
Hornet.
and repaired.
Patched,
Not all
yep.
that great, but big old wrap of tape on it. But
You think he'd be happy? Nope, he fucking loses his shit.
so they cut over to John sitting in his fishing hut, puts his hat down, ready to take a nap, and then thud, the music skips. Thud! What the hell's going on? And Max is pushing his ice fishing shanty across the ice with his truck out
Yes.
onto the thin ice. He's picked up a flaming barrel along the way and shoots him out to the thin ice, where it then sinks to the bottom and almost kills him.
And they proceed to fight using a frozen fish as a ice dagger.
It is a lovely little old man fist fight.
Yes. I love how he's got the scarf and everybody surrounds them, but who breaks them up but Mr. Gustafson? And I love the fact that Max called him Mr. Gustafson.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, do I have to separate you two again? So, that night, John's kind of realizing that when the IRS takes his house and his pension, he's going to have nothing to offer. So he decides to let Max have it and ends his relationship with Ariel, who was both hurt and offended. when
Well,
he,
I would hope so.
I mean, he fucking snaps. Like, he's like, I don't want you coming over here at all hours of the night, doing as you please.
Yeah.
And tells John that he will regret it. John falls into a deep depression again as Max begins to court Ariel more seriously. Christmas Eve arrives, and John's depression has turned to anger when Melanie shows up with her husband, Mike.
Shoot him again.
Who then asks for a beer, says he's going to clean up his act, yada, yada, yada. But then can't find a bottle opener, and that is what makes John snap. So he tells Melanie he's going to walk down the slipperies to find Jacob has arrived, even though John had told him they were getting divorced. They're not divorced. He doesn't have mistletoe. He has a thing of broccoli. So he gives Melanie a kiss on the cheek and then tells Mike he's next. And, you know, goes next door, tells his dad that, you know, John was upset, went to Slippery's. Maybe he should go talk to him, make up, yada, yada, you know.
Christmas spirit.
Yeah. So Max goes down to Slippery's, finds John drinking, gets into an argument with him. John gets the last word, storms out. Max isn't going to let that happen. And on the way home, John suffers a heart attack.
Collapses in the snow outside someone's house.
Yes.
Thankfully, Max finds him, and gets help from the family,
Yes.
having a party inside.
So Max doesn't know why John's really this upset. Thinks it's just because of Ariel and, you know. So he gets John to the hospital and Max tells Ariel to give him, you know, kind of be with John, make him happy. And then he meets Agent Snyder again. Max does, and finds out the truth, what's happening with John. You know, his wife worked for 11 years of his 20-year pension, and healthcare could have been taxed or something along those lines. But
yeah, something weird.
He owes $57,000 with back interest, late fees. At first, it was $13,000, and Max is like, "Oh, he can get that." Then he goes, "Well, it's $57,000," and so then he proceeds to throw a fish into Agent Snyder's car and boards up the house and rigs the roof to snowfall. But just as Agent Snyder is trying to break the wood off the door, Jacob arrives with a court order saying you cannot touch this house for 30 days. And then proceeds to knock a bunch of snow onto Agent Snyder. So they have saved John's house for now. Ariel is back with John. We don't know this. It's now springtime, and you see Jacob and Melanie. She's now divorced. They're both in black, like it's a funeral. Did you assume that John had passed away?
I can't say because it's been so many years since I watched it the first time.
Yeah. I'm guessing just based off of how they were dressed and how somber the moment was between them.
Yeah, that's what they wanted you to kind of fall into that trap, but
you know, I was like, that could be played off as like John died because you don't see John again. All you see is Max and Ariel, and then Jacob and Melanie. And they go into the church, and John comes walking from around the corner with Max and Jacob behind him, dressed in suits. And then Melanie and her daughter are walking down the aisle with Mr. Gustafson Sr. and Ariel in a wedding dress. And Max reveals he was able to get John's tax debt reduced to just over $13,000, and Max paid it off himself, but it's just a loan.
Mm-hmm. Always just a loan.
So, John and Ariel drive off to their honeymoon, and John finds the same dead fish that Max had put in the car as a prank. So now this fish has been sitting for months.
No, I think that was a different fish. I think that's the joke, though.
It looked like, yeah, it looked like the same fish, but they all look alike. And back at Max's house, Jacob's like, do you want to watch TV? And he goes, nope, I'm going down to VFW to find a date of his own to the local dance.
Mm-hmm.
And a newly single Melanie who is officially divorced, and Jacob, left home alone, begin their new romance. Thus cuts into the end credits with Meredith Burgess outtakes, which are worth the watch within itself.
Oh, 100%.
So that is Grumpy Old Men. So what do we think of the setting of this movie? We're in Wabasha, Minnesota.
Where the trouble goes. I think this is great. I mean, because it's taking place in in an area in a climate that most movies don't. I mean, we don't see a whole lot of movies where the majority of it, the area is under 2 feet of snow.
Yeah.
But it's not part of the plot. I mean, it's kind of for the tricks and stuff, but it's not part of the the storyline itself. You know what I mean?
I mean, the only part that really plays into it is the ice fishing.
Yeah.
And that set up a lot of like funny moments within the movie. The Green Hornet, pushing the house into the thin ice, the shoveling the snow, or snow off the roof, like. Yeah,
it lent itself to it, but it wasn't necessary to the story. It's just one of those things. Not too many movies happening in the Minnesota, Wisconsin area. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And one thing I like about this, and then the sequel is like springtime.
Yeah.
Whereas this was winter, Thanksgiving, Christmas,
ice fishing.
Yeah, the second one is regular
springtime fishing. Boat fishing.
How about the concept of the movie?
I mean, this is these two guys' bread and butter. I mean, they were the odd couple.
Yeah.
They've done shows and stuff like this, but I mean, it's a fairly classic trope. You got your two oddball. Whether they be neighbors, roommates, brothers, cousins, whatever it is, they're going at it. Curmudgeonly old neighbors is great.
Yeah.
Because they are the most creative with their insults. They can really stick it to you. And quite frankly, old people have been around a long time, so they know all the tricks.
And I honestly feel that if we lived next to each other for so many years, I think that would be it. We'd be
although it wouldn't be out of meanness. We'd just be doing it just to fucking have a laugh.
Yeah, to amuse ourselves because we'd be bored.
I mean, we do talk to each other like that. We do call each other pussies and
Yeah.
But
And so let me throw this curveball at you. So they did the TV show The Odd Couple. I believe it was them, the original Odd Couple.
Mhm.
They did the movie.
Well, they might not have been the original Odd Couple, but they did do it. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know the history there.
So, well, I know they did the two movies.
Yeah.
And they
Just you know that.
okay,
Yeah.
no, the original Oscar Madison was Jack Klugman, and the original Felix was Tony Randall. That was in the 70s. They made a remake with Matthew Perry and somebody else. But they did the original movie. Could this been at 3 and 4 of The Odd Couple, do you think?
I mean, I don't really remember those, so hard to say for me. But I mean that's essentially what all these style movies are.
Yeah.
I mean, the other guys, it's still the Odd Couple.
And I kind of think like they played that into this movie where when you look at Max Goldman's truck, it's dirty.
Hmm.
And Walter Matthau played Oscar Madison, who was the dirty one, and Jack Lemmon, his house is neat, clean,
Hmm.
much how Felix Unger was as a character.
Yeah.
Do you think this movie could hold up today? Let's say if it was Robert De Niro and Al Pacino.
Well, I don't know that they could do it as well as these two did it. I think that these two they had a unique
Chemistry.
chemistry between themselves. Um, I mean, this does get done. This gets done once a month.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of having that. You got to hit all all the check marks.
Yeah.
You have a script worth it. But I mean, most of all, you got to have two people who play off each other the right way in order to have it work the way that these movies worked.
Yeah. And so, how about the script, the dialogue, the acting, the directing?
I mean, they knocked it out of the park with the script. I think that all the little, the subtle shots and the not so subtle shots, and the ones you had to think about, and just the ones that were, for the 4-year-olds who were watching. I
Yeah.
mean, when they were in the pharmacies, they're going back and forth over their medical ailments.
Yeah.
I had a hemorrhoid, and I mean, it's,
I was pooping
I
razor
think
blades.
they did great.
Yeah. And as far as like the acting, definitely playing well off of each other. Like you said,
Mhm.
chemistry, the script. I don't know how much input they had, but I can imagine that with those two, there was
Had to be a lot of ad-libbing on
a
that
lot of
one
yeah,
because there's only so many times you can call somebody a putz.
yeah, and schmuck, putz,
Yeah.
you know, and like as the movie progresses, the insults get a little worse because now they're at odds, but
Mhm.
so character development throughout the movie, you know, there's tension between them for years, as there are with any friends.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I think at the beginning, you know that tension's there, but it doesn't feel obviously like a serious thing. It just kind of feels like just kind of like a trope that's there. But
Like a
as the movie,
friendly rivalry.
yeah, but as the movie goes on, and they kind of get more and more at each other's throats,
Yeah.
the insults start ramping up. The pranks start ramping up to being a little bit, more and more serious. So, I mean, I think they did a great job in kind of showing that through the stages of, the whole dating back and forth and, you know, one guy beating the other. So we just kind of, they did a good job of, really making it, the whole thing kind of come together with the development of everybody.
And like one of my favorite things about these two together is they could sit there all day, every day, and insult each other. But the minute one of them is in trouble, the other one has his back.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that when, at the beginning of the movie with the IRS guy, Agent Snyder, and then at the end of the movie when he finds John laying in the snow, even though John, are you dead? Not yet, but I don't want to die looking at your ugly mug. Like, you see the love they have for each other, and you can see Max is very conflicted at the hospital when the nurse, are you family? Are you a friend?
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, I don't know. Like, it would have been better if he had said family.
Yeah, but can't really lie to the hospital either.
Like they're really gonna know.
Yeah, I know.
So, the character development, it kind of goes back and forth. Like they love each other, they hate each other, they love each other. How about the length? An hour and 43 minutes.
It was pretty good. I mean,
Perfect.
A little over the hour and a half, but there's enough there that is worth it.
Yeah. And there was never a dull moment. Yeah. It tells the story. They both fall in love with this girl. One of them gets the girl. The other one is upset that the other one got the girl. Then that one realizes that he can't give the girl what she wants. Mm-hmm. So, what was your favorite scene in the movie?
That's got to be the outtakes at the end when they're talking about Chuck going in.
Yeah, I think my favorite is when he drives the truck into the ice shack, and and then when they're fighting and Meredith Burgess, I have to break you two up again. All right, it had a sequel, Grumpier Old Men.
Equally as good.
How about a reboot potential?
I mean, it has it, but now you've got to find two old guys to fill the roles.
And maybe in 10 years, Chevy Chase or Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase.
Well, they would have to get along, and Chevy Chase would have to stop being a dickhead.
Well, they're in a new movie together, that new R.L. Stine zombie movie. So,
well, I don't know anything about that. So,
yeah, the trailer just dropped today. But I don't think the magic could be recreated with than you would get with Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon.
No, not now. I just can't think of anybody of that, age or stature. I mean, well, Christopher Walken and somebody else might be able to make something happen.
But who?
I just don't know who would be that chaotic other. Or maybe he'd be the chaotic one. He'd be the Oscar in this, and maybe somebody like Tommy Lee Jones could be the straight man.
Or even De Niro. I could see De Niro being the Gustafson and Christopher Walken being the Max Goldman. So, all right.
Torture Tommy Lee Jones and make Jim Carrey the.
Too big of an age difference there. So this received a 7 out of 10 on IMDb, a 64% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd. Justin, how many mugs do you give Grumpy Old Men?
Oh, this one gets a 4.5 after me.
4.5. I give it 5. All right. That concludes Grumpy Old Men. Justin, what do we got next week?
Well, get out your fishing poles, folks, because we got a little fresh from the stream. Next week, we'll be covering Hulu's Vacation Friends 2, starring John Cena, Steve Buscemi, Lil Ray Howery, and Meredith Hagner.
Yep. Saw the first one. Funny as hell. Looking
Yeah, it
forward to
was.
this one.
I hadn't heard of it. I looked at it. I was like,
Just the trailer alone looks hilarious
was
with the
good.
scene with the baby when he's like, "Oh, he's
Adding
crawling."
in Steve Buscemi can
Yeah.
only bring it up.
Any movie where a character does a line of coke and it's their mother.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. The bar is now closed. Thank you so much for listening. You can follow us and stay up to date with the podcast at the Movie Bar Pod on X, formerly Twitter, at the Movie Bar Podcast on Instagram, and at the Movie Bar Pod on YouTube and TikTok, and at the Movie Bar Podcast on Facebook.
We are on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, Anchor, Google Podcasts, and most places you listen to your podcasts. And be sure to check out our website, www.moviebarpod.com.
Thank you for listening. Please let us know what you want to hear by contacting us on social media or via email at themoviebar@outlook.com. Please be sure to like, review, and subscribe to the podcast and on all social media channels. Bye.
Bye.
Yep, putts.